This is the YouTube edition of my book, A Course in Miracles Workbook Nuggets, which is a study aid for the course's workbook for students. I'll begin by reading my book's commentary on today's lesson over a visual of the book's text. I'll then return with some further thoughts on the lesson, which are only included in this YouTube edition of my book. Today's lesson is part of a 10-lesson group that runs from lesson 241 through lesson 250, each of which relates to the world as understood in the course. I'll be repeating this same introduction for each of lessons 241 through 250, so you can skip past this introduction in the future if you like. Timestamps taking you directly to today's Workbook Nuggets commentary and my further comments are provided in the description below. In the section entitled What is the World?, which precedes these 10 lessons, we are told that the world is false perception. In other words, it is the illusion we have made and maintain to convince ourselves that we are all separate people inhabiting a world of separate and scarce things. But all is not lost. The introduction also tells us, quote, "As sight was made to lead away from truth, it can be redirected. Sounds become the call for God, and all perception can be given a new purpose by the one whom God appointed Savior to the world." End quote. So the 10-lesson section we are now in helps us to understand why we see the world that we do and how we can escape this illusion for the beautiful reality beyond. Today's lesson from my book and my further thoughts follow. A link to the book on Amazon.com is provided below. Lesson number 250, September 7. Let me not see myself as limited. Learning to identify with your true self, the one self which we all share, is the central purpose of the course. You are not your job, you are not your body, you are not your personality. A miracle occurs each and every time you become aware in the one self in a given situation. This is true whether or not there is an identifiable effect in the world. Often there is a worldly result, even if only an easing of tension in yourself or the situation. Regardless of whether there is a visible result, if you change your perspective from your ego to yourself, a miracle has occurred. The situation and world is improved, whether you see it or not. Teaching you how to make that change of perspective at will is the central purpose of the course. That is why it is called A Course in Miracles. The title of today's lesson is Let Me Not See Myself as Limited. If you see yourself as limited, you are not seeing your real self. You are seeing yourself as a body and an ego. But, as we are told in perhaps the most repeated phrase of the entire workbook, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. You are an extension of God, His sinless child, eternal spirit. If you see yourself as limited, You are in the illusion, in the world as we know it, and it is there you will stay. The last sentence of today's prayer gives us our alternative choice. Quote, "Today I would see truly that this day I may at last identify with Him." End quote. That is the goal we seek, to identify with the one self we all share, rather than our small and limited egos. This is why we study the Course.